What's going on YouTube? So you guys are probably aware we have a long-term test vehicle. This is the 2021 Hyundai Sonata N-Line. And we've actually had this for over 2 years at this point and 15,000 miles. So today we're gonna do a 2-year long-term update.
In this long-term update, we are going to be discussing quite a few different things, including the potential transmission issue that we've had with this vehicle, as well as talking about wear and tear items and the cost to own. So without further ado, let's go ahead and dive in.
All right, so let's just go ahead and jump right into the problem section, and we'll talk about that issue that we've been having with the dual clutch transmission. Now, I want to provide you guys with a little bit of context about what this is. Again, this is the Sonata N-Line. This is the 2021 model year, and when you choose the N-Line, what that means is you're going to have the powerful 2.5 liter turbocharged 4-cylinder engine. You also have a different transmission. It is an 8-speed wet dual clutch automatic transmission. And this is kind of a newer transmission for the Hyundai and Kia brand that they've integrated across a wide variety of models. Now, as far as the issue that we've been having with this, it's developed over the last 2 to 3 months. When you cold start the vehicle, after it gets running, 2 to 3 times you get this jerk while you're in park. So the whole car kind of jerks forward 2 to 3 times when you start the vehicle up. It's a weird feeling, and it's hard for me to explain. So let's just go ahead and cut to a clip that we took of a cold start so you guys can visually see what this actually looks and sounds like from the inside and the outside. Yeah, just at 3 really defined times. Hopefully it was visible on the outside, because I definitely felt it on the inside here. So now that you've seen it, you can probably understand why we were a little concerned about it, because it certainly doesn't feel natural or very reassuring when you first start the vehicle up to be feeling those types of vibrations from the transmission. Now, we did go to the dealership recently. We were getting our complimentary maintenance, and I also asked the service advisor to take a look at that issue. The dealership came back and said they could not duplicate the issue. So right now you could say we're kind of in a bit of an observation phase. If it gets worse, we will go to a different dealership, get another opinion, and be a little bit more aggressive about seeing if there's something like we can do about this. But as of now, it's not caused us any drivability issues. We've not had anything that's going to keep us from getting where we're going. It's just something that doesn't feel exactly right. Now, this 8-speed dual clutch automatic did get recalled, but it wasn't a recall that impacted this specific unit. It was earlier build in the 2021 model year. But, overall, like I said, we're just going to be kind of observing this for now. We'll certainly keep you guys posted if anything happens on this front.
Now, next up, we do want to talk about the wear and tear of the Sonata over the 2 years and 15,000 plus miles that we put on it. You probably are curious, if you're looking to buy one of these, how's it going to hold up? And as far as the exterior is concerned, we will talk about the interior in just a second. The exterior is holding up very well. We've had no issues when it comes to the lighting elements. Those are all fully intact and functional. Additionally, the paint is doing a very good job. There's only just a few little road chips, which of course is very normal for a car with this many miles on it. For those of you that follow the channel, you might have heard about a little bit of an update with this front splitter. We had a little bit of an accident with an animal, and it did break this little piece right here, just a little crack in it. Nothing too bad overall, though, has happened to the exterior of this vehicle, but we do have a few things to show you on the inside. So how's the interior holding up? Well, I would say overall it's held up very well over the time that we've owned it. Now, some of the things that you're probably curious about in terms of wear and tear probably would be mostly your seats. With the N-Line model, you get this special seat. It actually is made of Napa leather, which is a very premium grade of leather, and you do also have the Alcantara here in the middle. Now, we're not super rough on seats, so we haven't had any tears or anything in the Alcantara, so it's pretty durable in overall use. I do want to talk about the wear and tear of the leather, though. So up here at the headrest, you will notice a little bit of discoloration here after about 15,500 miles. And we do have adjustable bolsters. And I will say that since the bolsters are pretty heavy on this model, there is quite a bit of like wrinkling going on here on the bolster, as well as down here on the lower seat bottom here. Once again, I don't think that's completely abnormal for a vehicle with this many miles on it. And of course, we do have the bolsters kind of cranked up because it does have that adjustability. But do keep in mind, if you're going to be getting in and out of the car all the time, these pieces right here are going to wear pretty well. And that's the same case for here on the passenger seat as well. Now, as far as other things to mention, the piano blacks. We do have some piano blacks in here. You're probably curious as to how those are holding up. We have no scratches on any of the climate controls, and this center tunnel here, actually, I see no scratches on it at all. Now, of course, depending on who you are, you might scratch it more often than we do, but it seems to be holding up very well overall. I do want to talk about this, though. Let's talk about the center console. We've developed a squeak. So if we kind of move the center console back and forth, you have that squeaking thing. So when you sit your arm on it, sometimes it does a squeak. We can probably get the dealership to replace this pretty easy, but we have developed that over the time that we've owned the vehicle.
Now this next section we're going to call Annoyances and just general livability. One thing that both Mason and I find to be pretty annoying about this Sonata is the wheel design. That's not the actual look of it. It's pretty stylish and very interesting looking compared to other models, but it's the fact that this has so many spokes and is so difficult to clean. And not only that as well, it also builds up brake dust relentlessly. Because of how close these spokes are, everything just piles up on this, making it almost have like a black finish if you don't clean it really, really often. And we'll show you guys like a little clip of us spraying it off with a water hose, but you can just see the brake dust roar out of this thing like a torrent. It gets incredibly filthy. One thing we've come to really appreciate about this Sonata is the fact that everything is in quick reach and has physical knobs and buttons. There's a lot of cars these days that just don't have those things, and you have to use all these touch sensors and touch screens and stuff like that. It's very nice to just reach over, grab the physical knobs and buttons for everything you need. One of the knobs and buttons, which you can't see it right now, controls your heated seats, which are another thing that are exceptional in this car. Stage 1 of this seat will light you on fire. I don't even know who could use stage 4 or stage 3, the heat miser maybe, but it's absolutely crazy how hot these things are. They will roast you from the inside out. And off we go, out on the road with our Sonata N-Line. Obviously, one thing that hasn't changed over the 2 years is the fact that it's still a fun vehicle to drive. Now, of course, it is front-wheel drive. You know, when the road is wet in particular like it is now, you're going to have some traction issues. It's just how it is when you have as much power and torque as this has to the front wheels, but it's honestly pretty manageable. I was really hard on the throttle there, and with just a little correction for the torque steer, it's not really a problem that we have in everyday life.
Now, you guys are probably also curious about the cost to own this Sonata over the time that we've had it. One of the things that I want to point out is that Hyundai does include 3 years of complimentary maintenance. So that's one of the really good things about Hyundai is that that's included. So in the 2 years that we've owned this vehicle, we haven't paid a dime when it comes to maintenance. We've gotten 2 oil changes, I believe, at this point. Or 3. Yeah. So quite a few different service visits, and all of that is completely free. So definitely great things to say about that in general. As far as our vehicle insurance, I know some of you guys are probably curious about this, seeing all the Hyundai stuff in the news about all the Hyundais being stolen, and sometimes they can be more expensive to insure. We haven't experienced that, at least here in Kentucky. We're based in Lexington, Kentucky, and it's pretty much normal car insurance price.
Right, there's been no change, and it's pretty much exactly in line with any of the other cars that we've had in the past or currently have. Now, speaking of traction, we have not replaced the tires or anything yet, as you would expect. It's only 15,000 miles, and we try to limit the number of burnouts we do.
Yeah. Now, if you're curious as to how much the tires do cost to replace, you can see that. I'll just go ahead and put a price per tire down below once I go ahead and find probably the average price per tire. These are 19-inch wheels for the N-Line model. Of course, with other Sonata versions, you will have smaller wheels, I believe 18s on most of the other trim levels, so that means your tire will cost a little bit less.
Right, and it also depends if you have the performance summer tires, which were an option on this model, or if you have the all seasons. Through a sponsorship, as soon as we took delivery of this Sonata, we actually replaced the performance summer tires with all seasons, because we are in Kentucky. We have all the seasons usually in the same week, so you have to keep that in mind. Just safer for us overall.
Transmission still works really well when the vehicle is in motion. Really no issues driving the vehicle transmission-wise.
Very snappy shifts. This is a performance transmission. I think that is something that people need to keep in mind when you choose the N-Line. It's for performance. It's for those snappy shifts while you're driving aggressively at somewhat of a cost, with your everyday, like setting in traffic performance and stuff like that, where you might feel a little twitch or hesitation or something occasionally, because that is usually how any type of dual clutch transmission operates, no matter who's making it.
Now, you might be curious about the fuel economy. We've driven the car about 15,000 miles, as we mentioned multiple times at this point. Fuel economy is very much right in line with what the EPA says for this vehicle. The EPA says 23, 33, 27 miles a gallon combined. So I do want to talk about this for those of you guys who are going for the N-Line model. In the city, this vehicle doesn't do great. 23 miles a gallon combined is not a fantastic figure for a four-cylinder midsize sedan, but the highway figure is really good. So 33 miles a gallon combined, which we did achieve on multiple road trips that are 10-hour plus road trips. This thing does get 33, 34 miles a gallon combined on the highway, and that's very impressive to have something with this amount of power that gets that highway fuel economy. Now in the city, it's a little bit less impressive, that's for sure. Right now we're sitting at 24.1 miles per gallon on average, and we've mostly been driving in the city, so that's pretty much right in line with that EPA estimate. So depending on how much city and highway driving you're doing, that split, you may get decent fuel economy, or you might get very impressive fuel economy if you're using the highway more. Oh my lord.
Gosh, dog. Ew.
That is right.
Brutal.
Oh, that's better.
It's some fresh air.
So after 2 years of owning the Sonata, what are our overall thoughts for this vehicle? Well, I think it pretty much remains the same, at least for me. We bought this car because it has a lot of performance at a very affordable price tag. You get a lot of value thrown in as well. And all of those things really do continue with owning the Sonata after 2 years. I think it still poses a very good value of performance, sedan practicality, as well as good value that Hyundais and Kias typically give you. I am maybe a little bit disappointed in the transmission having some issues at 15,000 miles. I think that is a little bit concerning, especially for overall. If you're planning to drive this car for 100,000 miles, I would be a little concerned as to how the transmission is behaving, at least currently.
Right, and we'll see how that ages. It may end up that nothing significant happens about it. It's just something that is a little bit rough at the beginning. We will find out and keep you guys updated once again as that goes on. And of course, we're coming up to a Sonata refresh. If you are considering that, it'll be the same, kind of packaging, and then maybe even better technology and things on board to make this even more appealing overall.
And we hope you found this video helpful. If you did, please hit that subscribe button down below. And if you're already a part of our Car Confections family, thank you so much for your continued support, because you do make this all possible, and we are very grateful for that. If you haven't had the chance to check out our full reviews, comparisons, and auto show coverage, please go ahead and check those out, as well as pay us a visit on carconfections.com, our all-new website. We'll catch you next time as we sample more of the latest automotive delicacies.